Welcome to another meeting of the Lorain County Commissioners, broadcast exclusively on your Lorain County Community College education station. The Lorain County Commissioners cordially invite you to see the meetings live and in person every Thursday morning. The meetings are located in the Lorain County Administration Building, located at 226 Middle Avenue in downtown Elyria. The meetings start at 9:30 a.m. on most weeks. Now, enjoy the meeting.
If we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Someone asked Mark Twain this question. In a world without women, what would men become? He didn't miss a beat and said, "Scarce, sir, mighty scarce." Didn't get the crowd response I was looking for. Okay, I apologize for that. Well, Teresa. Sorry
At
for the
10:30, there will be a continued public hearing on the proposed annexation of approximately 1.33 acres in Carlisle Township to the city of Elyria, Ohio. Attorney Garrett Murray, acting on behalf of Robert Yost, the agent. Under resolutions, number 1, job and family bills.
So moved. Second.
Discussion. Ms. Vacy?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Investments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Ms. Vacy?
Aye.
Appropriations.
So moved. Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Vacy?
Aye.
I don't believe there was any advances.
I didn't see any.
Requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Ms. Vacy?
I have a question. Why are we buying another pickup truck?
We need the truck to plow snow. We have a couple.
We just got one last year before, didn't we?
2 years ago, we purchased one, and we've picked up additional surface parking and agencies that we're plowing for. We need another truck. We get a lot of years out of the truck. I know they're expensive, but we definitely need another truck to plow.
How many do we have now?
We have 3 trucks that can plow. We have about 6 trucks in the maintenance department, but 3 of them are two-wheel drive trucks that they bought in '98 and '99, and they're not suitable for plowing. And we always should buy our trucks four-wheel drive. I wasn't here when those were bought.
But we do have a truck that plows.
But we have trucks that plow right now, yes, but we don't have enough of them.
Kind of scary to think about snow at this time, but I
Well-
guess it will come.
Well, if I order the truck in December, it won't be any good for plowing. We have a lot of surface parking, a lot more than we've had before, and we've also stopped contracting on a lot of our smaller lots, and we do that plowing ourselves now. And hopefully, after today's meeting, we'll have a lot more surface that we'll be plowing. So we're growing, and we need to buy infrastructure to support that
Are we
growth.
going to retire another truck, or is
No.
this just in addition?
We retired one, it went into the river, so we retired one previously. So a little levity, but thankfully that truck was pretty well at the end of its service life when that occurred, but this would not necessarily be a direct replacement, but we are down one truck.
Okay, thanks. And what about Dan? We're going to give $50,000 again to the County Health Department. In the past, we had asked them for an itemized financial statement, the same as we get from Elyria and Lorain. Did you get it?
It's itemized, but not to the detail of Dan Bill, solid waste director. The answer to your question is that we did get a report from Lorain County Health Department. It's not as in great detail as what Elyria or Lorain is, but it is in a format that is there at the present time.
Okay, thanks. Okay, is it my vote? Okay, I'm making an exception to 1282.
Travel expenses?
So moved, with the exceptions of 65102, 65202.
And
I'll
what are
second
those?
with the same exceptions.
What are those?
I saw 'em.
Those are
Communicating with diplomacy.
some training for the Budget Department.
See what?
I remember seeing it, but I couldn't remember what department. Okay. Okay, I'll agree.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Vacy?
I with the same exceptions.
Bills?
So moved.
I'm
Second.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary for employees within the jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
I believe there was only 2 on there.
That's correct, Commissioner.
Okay, so moved.
I did. You want a second?
Second.
Discussion? Ms. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore? Excuse me, Ms.
I'm Dave Moore.
Mrs. Vacy?
No, I'm
Mr.
Blair.
Moore?
She's-
Mrs.
oh.
Blair?
Aye.
Like a peanut game with a shell.
Accept proposal for BJAM Environmental Incorporated, Canal Fulton, Ohio, for the site assessment activities at the County Regional Airport. This proposal includes the following services: initial data collection, preliminary site assessment consisting of arguing of 2 boreholes and converting 2 of the boreholes to monitoring walls, soil and groundwater collection analysis, and Buster SFSS action level determination, and preparation of a site assessment report for the total predetermined cost of $6,598.
So moved.
I'll second. I'd like Mr. Cordes to talk about it a little bit. It's okay. Thank you.
I really prefer not to talk about it, but I will.
Thank you.
This is an old issue, Commissioners, that dates back to some contamination that was on the site back in 1992. There was no action by the state on this until just recently. We received some data from, there's been some administrative changes, and they're going back through some old files of things they didn't pursue, and they're asking for some action on this area that had some leakage from some storage tanks. We're not very happy about that, but we don't have any choice but to comply, because when you bought the FBO, you also bought the liabilities of the FBO, and this is one of the liabilities. So we need to go in there. We're hoping that by doing this study, we'll put to rest the fact that the contamination is no longer there, and that this issue is mooted. But we have to spend this money to be able to tell the state that they're demanding that we resolve the matter and close the case. And that's about all the information I have on this, because it's such an old issue, and nobody was here when this occurred.
Is this the FBO? I thought we took care of this, and the previous owner was to dig that up and clean it up.
If you recall, Mrs. Vacy, you asked whether we had insurance coverage, and we do have insurance coverage. Unfortunately, there is a deductible, and this is within that deductible. But yes, I specifically recall you did have the foresight to bring that issue up.
But he never cleaned it up.
Well, as Jim indicated, at that time, there was no indication that there was any problem with it. They didn't, it had been, what, 5, 6, 7 years, and nothing had happened with it, and now they're out of the blue bringing it back up again.
No, when 2 years ago when they purchased this property, isn't there any reps and warrants in there that says that they deeded it over clean? And
Well, they represented that we have
Well, then
the
count anything
insurance
else.
coverage for it.
they have the insurance coverage for it?
Right.
They had the insurance?
There is a deductible. Yeah, we picked up the same coverage they had.
Mm-hmm. But did they rep and warrant that it was clean, or did they rep and warrant that they acknowledged that there was
They had indicated
But there was
what
a...
we know is that it was there, that there had not been any problem with it for 7 years, and at that time, nobody was pursuing it.
Is it worth going after the sellers?
They gave us a hard time the last time, I don't think. I don't think it'd be worth it. It'd be more money than...
For the amount of money we're talking about here, no.
Our insurance is going to pick this up, right, Corsa?
No.
This is, on-
Oh, his?
this part of what we have to expend today is going to be within the deductible amount.
Let me...
It's got like a 10,000 or something? Or what?
Let me state this.
Okay.
No. Good number, go up a little higher.
Really?
50,000.
Okay, so it's a $50,000 deductible?
And
So we haven't hit it.
and I agree with Jerry. We should do this. Hopefully, this will put the matter to rest. If it doesn't, then we should look at what our options are before we go further. It could be that we get all the borings done, we get all the samples taken, and that'll resolve the matter with the state, and this issue will be resolved. If it's not, then we should... I'll sit down once again. I had spoke to Jerry before I brought this issue to the agenda, and we will decide what our alternatives are at that point. But this is just the first step that we need to take.
Corsa doesn't cover the airport.
Well, of course, it covers portions of the airport, but the storage tanks are covered actually by the state, and we pay that bill every year. It's, underground storage tank, what something. But there's a large deductible on that insurance. Normally, if you have a tank spill, you're going to have considerable amount of expenses if a tank has a major leak. It's definitely like a very large reinsurance, so that we don't have a devastating loss. But we usually pick up the smaller stuff, and we're already contracted with this company out there. We have monitoring wells and bores already out there on the site on an ongoing basis. I get reports every month of the samplings that I sign and forward on to the state each month as a matter of procedure.
Jim, just for clarification, check with Corsa, because it's my understanding that they, as well as a lot of other insurance companies, don't really like to cover airports. And I'm not real sure if Corsa is covering anything at the airport.
It's a combination. They have some different insurance with a Mr. McFadden, I believe, and Corsa in combination. But I'll put it all together so we have a clear explanation of who's doing what out there. We can certainly do that.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Vacy?
Aye.
Resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of a first supplement to the agreement of lease with Mercy Hospitals West and a first supplement to the amended and restated sublease with Catholic Healthcare Partners in order to release certain properties from such lease and sublease.
Also move and ask that Jerry just briefly address this.
I'll second.
She's here. Yes. Mary, would you... we have a representative here to explain this for us.
Okay, Commissioners, I'm Mary Duffy from Peck, Schaefer, and Williams. We're bond counsel for these bond issues. As you recall, in Ohio, when we do a bond issue for healthcare purposes under Chapter 140, we do that through a leaseback structure where the hospital leases the land and the hospital that sits on the land to the county, and the county leases it back to the hospital. And then the rent payments, which are actually loan repayments, go directly to the bondholders to pay off the bonds for whatever project was done at that hospital. Most hospitals subject their whole hospital campus to the lease just because it's easier than doing little subdivisions of the hospital and the ingress and egress. But what's happening is more and more hospitals, as you know, are putting up medical office buildings or clinics or therapy units in separate buildings on their hospital campuses. And often those are subleased, or they're actually sold to physician groups or other groups that we would either have to, that we need to take that land out of the sublease. And that's what's happening in this amendment to the lease and the sublease today. There is, some of the land is being released and the hospital is putting up a medical office building, and some of the land is being released because the city is widening the road and they need to take some of the hospital campus for that purpose. As you recall, Catholic Healthcare Partners has a number of facilities throughout the state that are subject to this lease and sublease. So you're in the odd position of changing a lease that's actually to a hospital in the city of Hamilton, Ohio, but because it's part of the whole healthcare system and the whole financing agreement, this county actually does that amendment to the lease and sublease. This, of course, doesn't affect the county's debt. It doesn't affect these bonds because the land itself does not secure the bonds. It's the revenues of the hospitals that secure the bonds. And so nothing on the bond side is affected, nothing on the county side is affected, but for the real property side of the matter, we'll be releasing a little bit of the land on the campus for this other purpose, for these two other purposes. And the resolution before you today authorize that amendment to the lease and the sublease.
Jerry, you reviewed this?
Yes, I have. So in effect, what she's saying is the part we're releasing does not impact on our ability to collect on this, should we?
Thank you.
So moved.
Alrighty. Ms. Blair?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Ms. Vacy?
Aye.
Commissioners, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in.
Authorize the cancellation of the existing easement and granting the United Church of Christ a drainage easement for the 911 addition project, and the church will grant the county a new driveway easement. This new easement will not allow the hazmat vehicles safe and adequate access into the hazmat garage, which was relocated and moved during construction. Authorize the president to execute on behalf of the board and request the county auditor to issue a warrant in the amount of $72 payable to Mary Ann Jamison, county recorder, to record the various documents.
So moved. Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Authorize the Board of Commissioners to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Maureen Weichel relative to the matter of Lorain County, Ohio, et al. Versus Maureen Weichel, DBA Prestigious Motor Carriers, Elyria Municipal Court, case number 02-CVG 01701. Various conditions must be met, and the property should be vacant, 40.5 East Avenue, no later than October 1st, 2002.
This is the train depot. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
I was hoping to get some words in for discussion.
The,
You got various conditions must be met and property should be vacant.
yes, sir.
I mean, are you asking them or are we telling them?
Well, this was a...
Because I know you've been asking for 2 years, so
Yeah, I've learned the real lesson on how not to get out of someplace if I don't want to go.
I'm just asking, are you asking or are you telling them with this?
This is a I believe a final resolution to the matter. This was a negotiated process. The issues are the dollar value of what will be paid, and I believe that there is going to be a, Jerry, I don't know the technical term, agreed upon eviction.
Well, an agreed upon judgment entry providing
yeah.
for return of the possession of the premises.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Aye.
It's okay. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Issue a notice to proceed letter to Lake Erie Construction Company, Norwalk, Ohio, for Lorain County Guardrail Project, Phase 2, effective August 5, 2002. This contract was awarded by Resolution 02-494, adopted June 27, 2002.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, Jim, can you explain what Phase 2 is? No? I don't think there's
No.
anybody here from the engineers department.
I don't believe I can, Commissioner. I hadn't looked at that issue with any specificity. The notice proceeds are formalities that we go through. This was passed by resolution, and the only thing the notice proceed indicates is that they've complied with all our requirements for documents and bonds and such, so that we can tell them it's time to go ahead and work under the code. It's a formality. I don't have any real clarity on what this issue was earlier in the year.
It's for a guardrail, but
If you hold this, I'll have some, I can ask Ms. Davis. I'm sure she has some issue.
Well, I don't like to hold guardrails because they could be pretty
You can come back to
sticky
before-
issues when it comes to accidents.
Oh, sure, you can come back to it before the meeting's over. I can have somebody in here in a couple minutes.
Okay, would you please?
Sure.
We're all in agreement to hold it.
Yeah, can we hold?
Retaining the services of URS Cleveland, Ohio to perform the Phase 1 environmental assessment, asbestos survey, and lead paint survey for Lorain County Intermodal Hub located at 40 East Avenue, Elyria, Ohio. 4 proposals were reviewed, and URS is the lowest and most responsive received, complying with specifications. Cost of services in the amount of $4,000, and the funding is available through the general fund. Authorize President or Vice President to execute on behalf of the Board.
Also move.
This was a part of the money that we set aside for this, right? This is going to be a part of it?
Well,
Well,
yes and no. We have $100,000 that we're working with, and we have a proposal not to exceed $99,000. So we have about 20% of the needs here. We anticipate the proposal costing around $3,000, but we also think there's going to be additional sampling that's necessary to bring this proposal to $4,000. And that happens, that'll leave us $3,000 short. So I guess the direct answer to this question is we're going to have to come up with $3,000 somewhere because we have $1,000 left, and the $100,000 I believe can be applied to this.
That's not how I was explained.
How was it explained to you, sir?
We hired a company to tell us how much it's going to cost to work on this project, and now we're going ahead and spending money on a project, which we haven't even received the document to tell us how much it's going to cost to remodel the project.
We need
That's what that document was supposed to be for.
Oh, no, that document's in play. I'm saying there's
All right.
$1,000 left in that $100,000.
Well, okay, so we bought the document. I don't care, we got a cheaper deal. It doesn't mean that we have a green light to spend the extra money for something else. I thought that document was going to come back to us. Here's what it's going to cost. It's going to cost you $4,000 to have a environmental assessment done and survey done and everything else done.
We can wait on the
No,
environment.
I'm just saying, that's how it explained to me.
And that's not incorrect, but the environmental assessment has to be done.
But shouldn't that be a part of the proposal that
It can be.
that we awarded?
It can be. It'll just
think it would
do
be.
it.
That wasn't the question, though. I think the question is, was it
Yeah.
a part of? Was it a part of the agreement that we entered, into with Second Generation?
The second generation would do an environmental.
I don't know. I thought
I
that
don't
was your
think they're
question.
doing it. I think what your question is shouldn't that be a part of their study and included in
An
the
overall cost.
renovation,
Right.
and then be paid through the money that the the
Right.
transit's going to get?
Ronnie,
Oh, it can be recovered. I don't want to indicate to you that we're not going to recover this money. It's just not available right now. It's part of the project cost. Ron, go ahead and jump on this if you feel
I just, I want to frame the question what I thought you asked.
I mean-
I thought it was pretty simple, not
Okay.
can we recover the cost? If I'm
didn't ask that question.
interpreting, I can't even talk,
No, no.
interpreting what you said correctly, was this not a part of the Second Generation contract? Is
No.
that what you?
No.
He
My
wanted to
question-
No, I'm sorry. Well,
he
then
wanted to know why he
okay.
doesn't have the study before we're doing this work.
Exactly.
I knew what his question was.
Well, but I need to know what his question is, so I can assimilate the information that's coming through. So would you ask
So
it
we're like
again
a
then?
husband and wife here. We don't have to complete our sentences, and we know what we're saying.
Oh, my God.
That's about as far as it goes. Not that that's a bad thing, but that's as far
Well,
as
then,
it goes.
would you reiterate your question so I can understand it?
I don't know, Ron doesn't show too much excitement, but
One of the key elements in the second generation proposal was a cost estimate, and until we do a complete Phase 1 environmental, there's no way to know what the asbestos abatement costs are going to be, the tunnel cost for any environmental hazards there, so it would hold up a major component part of the second generation proposal. When we put the proposal out, we took a look at what would be the most cost-effective for the county to do this entire project. It was our feeling that it would cost an additional $8,000 or $10,000 to have second generation or their consultant do this environmental. We've got staff that could troubleshoot that in the person of Karen Johnston, and we would hire a consultant and then manage that program, and what we're saying is that we can do that for less than $4,000, and that's what we're asking.
Even if you get your proposal and we don't go ahead and we don't get funding for the train depot, you have to have this information in your
Correct.
possession. We're going to have to do this either way.
Can we get reimbursed when the transit gets the grant?
It is a reimbursable
Yes.
item.
And I talked to
Then
Ms.
we should put that in the resolution that we want to get reimbursed for.
I spoke with Mr. Rokasi on Monday, and John, we talked about setting up the accounting to make sure we know what we need to recover
It was on an
from here
advanced basis.
forward on the intermodal project if funds become available. So we are accounting for those funds so that they can be recovered.
Okay, are there going to be any more of these little surprises, Ron?
No, and I didn't see this as a surprise. At least, maybe we didn't communicate that to the commissioners very well, and it's a surprise for you, but, and I will take the brunt of that, but, you know, this,
Bit of a marriage there.
this is the last of the costs associated with this work that's supposed to be done, you know, prior to September.
And a keynote there is we believe that this is the last to be done.
Yeah.
I mean, this is new for us, too, and this is a historic renovation. You know,
And it
we're-
may result that if Phase 1 determines that there are some potential problems, we may have an underground storage gasoline tank that nobody knows about from the 1930s,
and there's-
and that could warrant a Phase 2.
And there is also talk that there may be a problem getting back in those tunnels to be able to do,
Right.
to properly do this study. That may be an issue, too. There's a lot of unknowns.
I'm going to hate to ask the next question.
Well, please
Go for
do.
it.
Let's do it.
All I know is when you purchase a commercial property, usually you pay for a Phase 1 environmental study when you purchase it. So I guess my question is, when you purchase this, was there one done?
And my answer to you is I'm not aware of any environmental study that
Nor
was
am
done
I.
on the property.
How long ago did the county purchase this building?
I don't know. I wasn't,
2 years ago?
2 or 3 years ago, I think, was a rough time frame, but I'm not sure.
it was sometime in 2000.
Okay, and then they...
But I don't want to mislead you that this is going to be it. I know Ron's more positive on that, but I do know there's some issues with the backfill in those tunnels, and if they cannot get into those tunnels that go under the tracks to be able to do the proper engineering and surveying back in there, we may have an issue with that. We may have to resolve that issue. Also, Norfolk Southern told me that somewhere in Elyria, there was some one tunnel or 2 tunnels that went underneath train tracks that ended up collapsing some years back, and they had an issue with that on the backfill. And we're hoping it's not one of our tunnels. So there's a lot of unknowns in this project, and we're trying to take them one at a time as they come up and trying to mitigate the expense as best we can. But this is going to be a historic renovation, and there's going to be a lot of unknowns with an old building, old infrastructure, and things that are, decades old.
But, okay, all we're doing is an asbestos survey and a lead paint survey, that's it. So whether or not we're going to know if there's underground tanks, we're not going to find out, because when you're checking for asbestos and lead...
Correct.
Should I just stay here?
Nah, you need to work.
A Phase 1 starts, and its primary effort is to communicate with everybody that knows the people that once owned that property, the history of the property. There's an actual research that goes into what is likely to be found. During that Phase 1 review, we are also specifying that we can assume the age of the building, that asbestos is likely to be covering pipes in the floor, in the ceiling material, and perhaps in the walls. So what we are doing is a Phase 1, doing the investigation, the inventory, to determine whether there is a likelihood of other environmental issues. But we've also said, we're saying up front, as a part of this Phase 1, we want you to analyze for lead-based paint and asbestos so that you don't come back with a Phase 1 telling us, well, we expect lead-based paint and asbestos in here, you have to do a Phase 2. We are permitted to do this Phase 1 investigation and specify that we do the asbestos investigation, sampling now, and the lead-based paint, because we know it's likely that it's there, and we are saving ourselves some time.
I don't think, I've paid for phase one environmental studies before, and no, I didn't get that.
You didn't get what,
What
Commissioner?
you just explained.
Well, we're actually, you can call this the beefed up phase one, because we're doing a lot more in phase one than you ordinarily would do. Normally, you would do a phase one because you're getting ready to purchase a piece of property, and you're just getting information of the likelihood of these contaminants being there.
Or that you're going to develop a piece of
Right.
property, and you're going to be moving dirt that may be contaminated or run into, you know, underground storage facilities that may have problems, and that's what it's for.
So this is a, for lack of another term, it's a combination of part of a phase one and a part of a phase two.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just wanted to see if it's phase one did do that, so it does say that's what they're gonna do, so. Because the resolution just said the two things, so.
It says it in there that they will
Yep,
do
they're gonna
this,
do-
what we're paying for now?
Yeah, they're gonna pay, they're gonna do also a review of all the agencies, local, state, and federal, within a mile, historical research, pretty much what Ron just said. I mean, it's one of those things where if we're gonna have to do this, no matter what, I mean,
We will be, regardless of how the property's developed, we need to do this.
well, no, we don't need to do it. I mean, I'm just saying if, yeah, okay, we're gonna need to do this, aren't we? Because even if the estimate comes in for $10 million to restore it, that's my issue. And we're not gonna spend $10 million, we just spent $4 grand, but then again, we're gonna have to do a phase one if we wish to sell this property anyway.
Correct.
So, either way, we're gonna spend it now or spend it later. So, I just wanna make sure we're getting what, because I know I spent $1,500 on my phase one. So, but it wasn't this detailed.
You find any dead horses underneath the foundation?
You what?
Never mind.
I'm sorry, I missed something.
It's okay.
What? Eight?
Dead horses.
Nah. Maybe we'll find half of those. Thanks, Ron, for the abuse. I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? Ms. Blair? Aye. Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Ms. Vacy?
Aye.
Approve a memorandum of understanding between the Cleveland-Cuyahoga County Port Authority, CCPA, and the Board of Commissioners to establish foreign trade zones, both general purpose and subzones, within the boundaries of Lorain County, Ohio. The CCPA currently operates foreign trade zones for Cleveland and Cuyahoga County and has 2 approved subzones in Lorain County. The Lorain County Avon Lake Ford Plant, the Lorain and Avon Lake Ford plants. CCPA is interested and willing to work with the Board of Commissioners in establishing additional general purpose zones and subzones for Lorain County. Lorain County Community Development Department has reviewed and recommends that Lorain County and its businesses will receive greater benefit from a relationship with the CCPA's Foreign Trade Zone program. The CCPA has agreed to investigate in the next 12 months a formal relationship and are agreeing to the MOU and authorize the President or Vice President to execute on behalf of the Board.
Okay, I talked with, well, you want to,
I think Ron's standing there waiting to, should Ron talk first? Tell us what we're going to be looking at.
Thank you.
well, I had a question. Ron, I know that Cleveland and Cuyahoga County competes with Lorain County for business for everything that we do. You know that by NOACA. Why can't Lorain County Port Authority establish its own foreign trade zone?
Free trade zone. Is that what we're talking about? Free
Foreign
or
trade.
foreign?
Foreign.
Oh, foreign, sorry. I guess I'm ahead of
Is this what you're talking about, duty-free?
Yeah, that's what we're not talking, we're talking about a foreign trade zone, right?
Technically, I think we might have a very slight chance of doing that, but from a practical standpoint, that's not an option that this county should be exploring. There are only either 6 or 8 in the entire state. This is a federal program, and it's a very serious program because you're dealing with large corporations and constant movement of goods being exported and imported, and it falls under the U.S. customs services, and while we may have the opportunity to consider this, any port or any operating foreign trade zone within 60 miles of our jurisdiction has the right to tell the U.S. Customs they are not going to allow that to happen, that we are to partner with them. That would open us up to both a protest from the Cleveland-Cuyahoga County Port Authority and the Akron Summit or Neotech Port Authority. So while we probably have the door ajar from a technical and a practical standpoint, you're never going to get it.
Does this mean duty-free when it enters the United States?
The handout that I gave you, typically it's referred to duty-free. It depends on whether the material arriving in this country is from a foreign land and whether it is going back to a foreign land. The pie chart on the back page, if you flip your document over, you know, on the, I think it was the left-hand side, it shows that those items are in fact duty-free. There are no tariffs being paid on those. But if it's produced, originally the parts are produced in the United States and sent overseas, they are subject to duties. If they're brought in here, assembled, and sold in the country, then there are tariffs that are placed on that as well.
And my understanding is that they can bring in the components duty-free, assemble them here, and then if they have a finished product that's sold here, then it's taxed
Correct.
when it's a finished product rather than individual components.
Correct.
I know years ago I used to import. I never had a problem, so that's why I wondered why do we have to join with someone else? I was in Lorain County then, and suddenly now we have to join with another county or to do this. I mean, sure, I paid the duties on it, but I don't understand why suddenly we have to join with another county.
This is the
Unless laws have changed in the years, I'm sorry.
This is a commissioners' meeting. I have a prepared introduction to this if you'd like to hear that. If you want to have me just answer questions, I'm prepared to do that. But my feeling, the answer to your question is we have large corporations as well as medium and small corporations, frankly, dealing in a global market, and Lorain County can no longer exist by ignoring the competition that other places have with foreign trade. You know, would York have stayed here had there been a foreign trade? That's a question we'll never be able to answer. Obviously, York has a relationship now in Wichita, Kansas, and they're also working with some assembly in Mexico and parts made foreign countries. So certainly, there was not even an opportunity for the county or for Elyria or anybody else to sit down and talk to York about leveling the playing field and retaining those jobs here in Lorain County. You know, I don't think that was the only reason York did what it did, but we have other companies. In my comments here, you know, anybody that feels Nordson Corporation and they're experiencing some difficulties right now, one of their products that they make is adhesives. If you think that that is made strictly for a domestic market and that they're not exporting or importing parts, then you're asking that corporation to continue to pay and lower their profit margin and be competitive on a worldwide market. You have Invacare that is making, frankly, wheelchairs, and they are sold globally. Invacare, while they have not pushed real hard, could certainly take advantage and get the competitive benefit of a foreign trade zone and employ and produce perhaps even more wheelchairs here in Lorain County. This is in part a tax credit or avoidance of tax, but it's really a tax or a tariff at the federal level, and where we benefit more than anything is certainly the jobs that are either retained or held here in Lorain County. So it's really an effort to help save jobs for Lorain County, and it's a tool that we clearly feel we need.
Ron, I'm not suggesting that we don't establish a foreign trade zone. I'm just suggesting that we might be able to do it without competing with Cleveland or Cuyahoga County.
Disagreement.
Because the competition between them that I've seen in the past, and it's there, I mean, they compete for everything. Look at I-92 out there. what we went through for that.
Well-
And we would do the same thing, I'm afraid, for jobs.
Part of the problem in Cleveland with their Port Authority is they're always competing with each other for who's going to control the Port Authority in Cleveland, too, because it's a combined Port Authority, Cleveland, Cuyahoga. So there's a lot of political nonsense going on with that Port Authority and who's got what seats and who's going to dominate that Port Authority. And their foreign trade zone is through their Port Authority. We don't have that here, nor would we get mixed up in that Cleveland-Cuyahoga issue. We would simply be allowed under their, for lack of another term, license for foreign trade zones to be able to establish our zones here. We will operate pretty independently of them. It's like we're a manufacturer and we're paying a copyright fee to be able to produce.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, you've identified some places. Is this the whole county as a whole, or because you're talking about zones and subzones? Are you just identifying areas? Because you're mentioning a lot of corporations that could benefit.
Frankly, we're getting ahead of ourselves here with that discussion. Let me answer that, but we need to understand what a foreign trade zone is so that everybody is working on the same page. The answer to that question is, under the Memorandum of Understanding, Cleveland, Cuyahoga County Port Authority will work with us during the next year to give us that autonomy. We answer to them in terms of the reporting to the Customs Service, but we will maintain the decision-making at the local level. That's going to be left to us. There is one thing that everybody needs to understand, both the public and the commissioners. On a foreign trade zone versus getting a grant and having a relationship with the state of Ohio for a revolving loan fund, when they come up to investigate the state, they come up with auditors, pens and paper, calculators, things like that. When the Customs Service comes to investigate, they come with subpoenas, loaded weapons, and badges. So it's a little more serious, so we have to have somebody help us with that requirement. What a foreign trade zone is, so that everybody has an understanding, we will dictate, under the Memorandum of Understanding, where we are going to establish and the number of general purpose districts, which is the bigger thing, and subzones, which is what we have currently with the Cleveland Cuyahoga County Port Authority for the 2 Ford plants. We have that autonomy. When we've had this discussion with Mr. Failer with the Cleveland Port Authority, he says, we have enough internal politics in the Cleveland Cuyahoga County. We understand Lorain County politics are parallel, and we don't want to get into that. We want to leave that with Lorain County. That is a huge move from where they were with the city of Lorain when they approached him about 1.5 years ago. A foreign trade zone is basically an island that is physically located in the United States, but technically foreign goods that have arrived at our port of entry to our island are not subject and have to any tariff and have not technically entered the United States. And hopefully you can understand that what that really is saying is, while it may be located at the Colorado Industrial Park, the materials bringing in have not technically, while they have entered the United States for tariff tax purposes, they have not physically entered the United States. They're on this island as a port of entry. If they go back off the island to another foreign land, they've never technically arrived in the United States, so therefore they're not subject to a tariff.
So if Invicare's, I don't think this is the right statement, but I'm going to try it anyway. If Invicare is going to have a lot of material come in through Cleveland and delivered in Elyria, Elyria could not be, let's say it's not part of the island, but the fact that it's coming in and going out at that point, is that fine? Or is it because it's produced here in Invicare?
It's as I understand it, it's because it's assembled and produced here in Elyria that they need that designation, either as a subzone, right?
Okay, so how much control are we going to have over declaring the zones?
We are.
So we'll
complete control.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
Yep.
Because I don't
and we are suggesting that control be left with the Board of Commissioners, not our county port authority, so that you have control and our community development department work under your leadership to establish those. In Neotech, the Akron group that we could go to if the Cleveland doesn't work out, Neotech has as a part of their bylaws, we can only, at any point, we will only be permitted to have 2 general purpose zones. Cleveland has said that they will not put that restriction. So if Elyria, Lorain, and Vermillion all want a general purpose zone under Cleveland, they can have those if you agree to that. Under Neotech, we would be stuck with deciding, is it Vermillion and Elyria, Vermillion, Lorain, who and how are we establishing those?
We would also rejoin Neotech. We'd have to pay $25,000.
Yeah,
first.
and there's several benefits and problems between the 2 organizations. Neotech has an annual membership fee of $25,000. Cleveland Port Authority has none. Part of that is for a marketing effort that we would take advantage of in Neotech. Cleveland does not have a similar marketing effort, but we could take that $25,000 and market ourselves.
And we would have seats on the Neotech board, but we would not have complete control of our foreign trade zones here in the county.
Correct, and there would only be 2 seats on Neotech. Cleveland Port, the way they're setting it up, there is no governing board because we have autonomy and we have control, so there's no need for a board. It rests with the 3 commissioners.
Okay.
Okay,
This is
if in the
the
future, I'm sorry, Betty.
This is a memorandum of understanding for you to work with them for a year's period of
To
time.
hammer out the agreement.
To develop the agreement.
Right.
Okay, and if at any point, is there an escape clause in there where we can opt out if we're not satisfied?
Once again, Commissioner, that's not a contract. It's just some ground rules that we want to operate under. There's no
There's no contract?
No contract,
agreement, so
no.
we can
No, we just-
opt out anytime we want?
Yep.
Okay.
The one last point that I want to say is the City of Lorain worked with Cleveland and Neotech on its Colorado Industrial Park. They recently have submitted an application to the Customs Service for 40 acres in the Colorado Industrial Park under Neotech. When they first went to Cleveland, which is for them or us the first procedure they must follow, Cleveland had a provision in there that the City of Lorain felt was a little too strict, and it gets back to your issue of regionalism, and Cleveland will take care of Cleveland. City of Lorain felt that that was too strong of a language, so they went to Akron. They have a period of time where Cleveland could protest the application with the Neotech folks. That period, I understand, finished. It passed without any protest from Cleveland, probably last week or within the last 2 weeks. So it looks like that foreign trade zone will go forward. What we do here with this memorandum of understanding will have no adverse effect whatsoever on that application. Because I think the City of Lorain went with Neotech rather than Cleveland, Cleveland has gone back, re-examined their stance, and they have said that we all that have tax abatement or enterprise zones, we all have language on pirating. If, as an example, we decide that we want to go bring Moen back to Lorain County, and we go over and actively from Lorain County, actively talk to Moen and say, come back to Lorain County, that is clearly pirating. They have said, and the tax abatement language is the same, by commitment. We are committing to this in the memorandum of understanding, and it will be spelled out in more details when we actually resolve our affiliation with them. We are saying we will not go into Cuyahoga County and actively solicit companies to move to Lorain County, and at the same time, Cuyahoga County will not come into Lorain County and actively pirate companies from us. However, if there is a company that approaches from Cuyahoga County, approaches Lorain County, under this agreement, we are to tell that company, we cannot talk to you until you have notified both the county and the community that you are presently located in, and Cuyahoga County would do the same. Once that notification has been given and the local community knows they're potentially in for a fight to hold their company to prevent them from coming to Lorain County, then there is level playing ground once the notification has been made, and we will either have the company and or the county, our office, notify that community and the county, or If the company refuses, before we begin any negotiations with that company, we will notify both Cuyahoga County Port Authority as well as the local community. So that's the anti-pirating. It works both ways. I think that that has been a huge shift from when City of Lorain went to work with them. It's fair, it's reasonable, it's already your policy with a company looking for tax abatement or to take advantage of an enterprise zone, so I don't think that this should be problematic either for us or for the commissioners. And I think that that's a huge change from where they were a year and a half ago. I think I had 2 hands go up from commissioners. I will stop at this point and answer questions.
No, you kept talking and you answered the question.
Or wore you out. We do strongly support this, and we think that it's a tool that we absolutely should have here in Lorain County. At this point, we're only saying formally the commissioners are allowing Mr. Cordes and our staff to work in this particular case with Cleveland-Cuyahoga Port Authority to come to a more contractual agreement. We think we can get that done in the next 12 months. If problems arrive that we can't resolve during that period, then we can walk away and go to our next option, which would be Neotech. We are not saying today, through your action, that this is a done deal and we have it. It's just another huge step forward towards that ultimate goal.
Thank you. Hi, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Rumics, R-U-M-I-C-S, Oberlin. This is really an information question. I had the impression that the Lorain County Regional Airport was a foreign trade zone, or was it simply attempting to be so, and that's still in the works?
They are not a foreign trade zone. At one point, there was quite a bit of discussion about that being a site for a general purpose zone, but no, they are not a foreign trade zone. As a port of entry, I suspect that they could seek approval by the Board of Commissioners to be the zone administrator to oversee foreign trade zones. We perhaps made a leap of faith and assumed that the county commissioners would want that control and jurisdiction under themselves rather than farming that out to another appointed body. So
It's always dangerous to assume, but you assumed right.
I think what happened is a few years ago, we talked about it becoming a foreign trade zone, but we didn't do anything with it. And that's why I assumed the same thing. I had to check to make sure we didn't do anything with it, because I thought we did it maybe 2-3 years ago.
And under this arrangement, they could become, if they have businesses needing to take advantage of this, we could set up a separate island for them.
They could be a general purpose zone there.
Either general
Commissioners,
purpose or subzone.
This is just a next step in what you're trying to accomplish with community development, and that is to make yourself a world-class community development department that'll compete on every level with anybody in the state. It's just another one of those tools that's in the bag.
I know
They're
this
doing
wasn't
great work.
easy, so I appreciate all the work your department's done.
And I appreciate the support the commissioners and county administrator have given us. One last piece of information for folks. The 2000 census has come out and confirmed what we have assumed or discovered over the last 5 years, that between the year 1990 and 2000, in 1990, Lorain County had 33% of its employment base that was squarely in manufacturing. The 2000 census, as we anticipated, has said that this has declined to 24%. That decline will continue unless we ante up and do the right thing, and one of those right things to do, we feel, as scary at times as it is to have a foreign trade zone.
We're
Mr.
losing
Chair?
a lot of manufacturing.
Also move.
Second.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
And Mr. Chairman, as an adjunct to that, and we've not made any public announcement about the bond rating that the new Lorain County Port Authority has received, but in the memorandum of understanding that came, it tells us what our bond rating is, so I think you ought to publicly state what that is.
Let's stand up again.
We probably haven't received this officially. Perhaps I overstated in the memorandum of understanding slightly, but we do anticipate that it's going to be double B+. We have technically some submittals that needs to be made next week. All of the port authorities in the state of Ohio and most in the country are double B+, and so that's what we anticipate getting and feel comfortable that there's no reason to expect anything different.
We just have not gotten the official release from
notice.
Moody's.
Well, but I read that
Official
document, and I got
release from
excited
Fitch.
about that, so. I
And
just-
it was from Fitch, not Moody's.
Fitch. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Can we back up to number 14? I have
Okay.
somebody available.
we
That's fine.
got 2 minutes before the annexation, so.
Karen?
Sure. Number 14 it is?
Yes, sir.
Karen Davis, D-A-V-I-S. Good morning.
Good morning, Karen.
I guess there was some questions in regards to why we need to do a notice to proceed.
Well,
No,
not
I
necess-
just, the question was, what is Phase 2?
Oh, Phase 2. They already did Phase 1 of the guardrail project. Wayne, do you know anything about this guardrail project?
Thanks, Jim.
I thought it was the
that's
notice to
okay,
proceed.
Karen.
was
No, we
the-
understand the
No,
notice of
This has
proceed.
nothing to do with you. Jim said he'd get the information.
I just had a
Obviously-
question on what Phase 2 is.
I'm
I
not
know
sure-
we had the notice to proceed.
Right.
So
Right.
what is Phase 2? To do it?
Yes, we're actually going to do Phase 2.
Well, is Phase 1 like the design, and then Phase 2
No,
is implementation?
No,
or-
they actually performed work in Phase 1.
Yeah.
This is just additional work.
Karen, what is the
This is just
scope
all-
of work in
No,
Phase 2?
I-
That's what Mary Jo wanted to know. What work is actually being performed? Are you aware what the scope of work is?
No, I have the contract documents. I just thought it was a question on the notice to
Okay.
proceed.
Nor was I, to be honest with you.
So-
That's why I thought maybe you
I
would
mean,
know.
guardrails aren't that hard to put in. That's why I wondered what Phase 2 was.
I think there were probably,
I
there
know it's a
were,
federal project, it's paid
yes, we
with
got
federal
money, and there were
dollars.
so many in this phase,
Right.
and so many in this phase, and so many in that phase.
Okay.
That's what I thought. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Karen.
Sure. Are you satisfied enough for us to vote on that?
No, I still don't know what it is.
Well, but you made the motion, so how can we resolve number 14, so we can move on?
Wayne's here, maybe he can explain.
Wayne Maletti, County Engineer's Office. Yes, it's a new set of guardrail for bridges. It's another step. We did one phase, now we're doing a second.
You did one set of guardrails?
For bridges, right. Now we got another set for new bridges.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
totally new project.
Okay, I just
Okay.
gonna leave it in your hands. You guys know what you're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Although it doesn't sound like it.
No. The county administrator had you come up, so don't worry.
Just
It has
get the
nothing on you
guardrails up
guys.
so that
This has-
nobody, jumps over the bridge or
has-
gets over the bridge and we get sued.
This has no reflection on you guys.
Did we vote on that?
No.
I'll make a motion for number 14.
Oh, there's already been a motion
Oh, is there?
made by Commissioner Vacy, and I seconded it, so we're just holding
Call
it.
the vote.
We've just been discussing it, so I guess
Yeah.
it's time for a vote.
Do you want to call the question, please?
Okay. Ms. Vacy?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Thank you.
It's now 10:30.
Then do the public hearing.
You ready?
Continue public hearing on the proposed annexation of approximately 1.33 acres in Carlisle Township to the city of Elyria, Ohio. Attorney Garrett Murray acting on behalf of Robert Yost, agent.
And he walked out.
Yeah, I walked in. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll start reading it. How's that, since they're not here? Why don't we hurry up and vote on it if they're not here? I'm sorry.
I can't believe you said that.
Oh, yeah, City of Elyria makes that, okay. Noise cut on. Okay. Continue public hearing on the proposed annexation of approximately 1.33 acres in Carlisle Township to the City of Elyria, Ohio. Attorney Garrett Murray acting on behalf of Robert D. Yost, trustee of the Robert D. Yost Trust Agent, August 1st, 2002, 10:30 a.m. Petition was submitted to this office on March 20th, 2002 for the purposed annexation of approximately 3.33 acres in Carlisle Township to the City of Elyria, Ohio. Petition was filed with the county auditor and engineer. The engineer reviewed the accuracy of petition and map, and by reported date, March 26, 2002, the engineer indicated no discrepancies. The land is adjacent and contiguous to the city of Elyria. The engineer requested the county prosecutor's office look into this proposed annexation to see if it causes the parcels north of the acreage to become a township island. The city of Elyria would be on the north, west, and south side, and the township of Eaton on the east. Elyria City Council adopted ordinance number 2002-97 dated May 6, 2002, setting forth services to be provided to this property if the annexation is granted. The commissioners, by resolution number 02-309, adopted April 25, 2002, received petition and map and scheduled the public hearing on June 13, 02. June 5th, 2002, Attorney Garrett Murray filed an amended petition decreasing the acreage from 3.33 to 1.33 acres. This petition was again filed with the county auditor and engineer for their review. Annexation hearing was convened on June 13, 2002 at 10:30 a.m. and by request of Attorney Garrett Murray and Attorney Al Schrader, counsel for the Carlisle Township. The hearing is to be continued until 10:30 a.m. on Thursday, June 27, 2002, due to Attorney Schrader's being out of town and unable to attend June 13th's hearing. The hearing was open on June 27, 2002, but in view of the Commissioners' meeting agenda and the lateness of convening this hearing, it was request of Attorney Garrett Murray and Attorney Al Schrader that this hearing be continued until Thursday, August 1st, 2002 at 10:30 a.m. Resolution number 02-472, adopted June 27, 2002, continued the hearing for this day. If people wish to speak, Mr. Ennis will be administering the oath, I believe, or do we?
That you think they may testify or state. Each of you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, that you shall answer every God under the penalty of the law of perjury. I do.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Murray. Would you like to make any additional comments? Or would you like to continue?
Well, just briefly indicate my name is Garrett J. Murray, and my address is 409 East Avenue, Elyria. And I do represent Robert D. Yost, who's the agent for the owner, Robert Yost, trustee of the Robert D. Yost Trust. And as you stated originally, back in March, we filed a request for an annexation of 3.33 acre parcel. And because of the fact that the engineer questioned that the property to the north of the area to be annexed would be surrounded by Elyria on the north, Elyria on the west, and Eaton Township on the east, we amended our petition and reduced it from 3.33 to 1.33. And I have the diagram here. Last time I was here, I gave you copies, but this map shows the reduced area.
Is the yellow what you were, is the 1.33 the yellow?
This one is the original
Right, the
request, 3.33.
Okay.
The other one is 1.33.
So the, I call it the Big Dipper, but just this part here. Okay. Oh, it goes to an angle though. It goes from this point to this point. No, this is the original map from the 3.33. You have the.
There should be an amendment.
Should be an amended map.
Yes, that should be the original.
Nope, that's the original.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, okay, I see.
This is still showing the 1.33. This is still showing the entire thing.
I think where the lines are going across, that's 133, right? Where you got them crossing?
Yes,
But, you know, it's not
the
that.
3.33, the whole yellow
Yeah,
area was originally 3.33 acres.
Okay, I
Where I have drawn the diagonal lines, that's the reduced area, 1.33 acre parcel. The area that is outlined in red, that is the parcel that the Board of Commissioners annexed back in November of 2001. And the object here is for my client to be able to get sanitary sewer services for the 1.33 acre parcel, and also that he be able to tie that little piece into his proposed subdivision to make it somewhat square. The 2 acre parcel will remain in Carlisle Township, and that parcel faces on Dewhurst Road, and the parcel that you annexed back in November of 2001 faces onto East River Road. Since the time that we have been here a couple times, this matter has been continued. We have talked with the Carlisle Township trustees, and I think they're here today and indicating that they're not going to object to this annexation, and they have some statements that they would like to make.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. If I might, I'm Attorney Al Schrader. I represent the Carlisle Township trustees. I have with me today my nephew, Brian, from Rhode Island. He's considering being an attorney. His father's a corporate attorney. I thought I'd show him what we do, and by the end of the day, he'll conclude he ought to be a doctor or an astronaut
Or a county commissioner.
or a county commissioner, even that.
Tell him he's the one without the suit.
Yeah, he'll learn. He'll have to wear suits. There have been discussions between Garrett Murray's client and the trustees, and essentially what we think we've determined is we think we have a win-win situation where the township wins, the city of Elyria wins, the developer wins, and in fact the neighbors along that area win. Quite frankly, one of the main concerns of the trustees was that you run into this situation that if a sewer is extended and it runs past your house, ultimately someday a health department may determine, or somebody, EPA may determine to tell you got to hook in. That becomes a problem if the sewer is 21 feet down into the earth and it's tougher to hook in, and so on and so forth. We're willing to withdraw our opposition, and here's our understanding of the agreement. First, that the developer will donate to the township public funds $1,000 in lieu of taxes lost. Second, that the sewer would go down East River Road. Thirdly, that there are some 9 houses involved past which that sewer line would run. Our understanding is Eric Rothgary of the city is agreeable to recommending to City Council that those 9 properties be permitted to hook onto that sewer whenever they want to or whenever they have to, not right away, without annexation. Secondly, that at the time the sewer line is installed, the developer will work with the township and hopefully the county as well in order to make sure that at the same time the sewer line is run, taps for those 7 houses will be installed so that after that's down 21 feet, they don't have to dig halfway to China again when they want to hook on, so that all of that could be in at the same time. We don't have time or the ability to finalize all of that at this point because it depends on a couple of questions. A, will City Council do as Eric Rothgary recommends? We believe they will. Second, we want to work out some of the details on paying for those sewer taps. It would certainly be helpful if the county could kick some money into that as well. I think the township's indicated they're willing to kick some in just to make sure that that happens. And there's a number of ways, as the commissioners know, those things can be done. But they usually involve a governmental entity. For example, sometimes they're put in and then the individual has to pay when they actually tap in, but I don't think that the developer can do that individually. I think some government entity has to be involved. In any event, we've agreed that the township will work together with the developer and hopefully the county to that end. That being the case, we would withdraw our opposition because we think we do have a win-win situation for the county, the township, the city, and particularly for the 9 landowners around there, so that we think we've solved everybody's concerns. And I want to commend Garrett Murray and the trustees for their willingness, and Mr. Yost for their willingness to work on this. Sometimes it makes sense to continue these things, and you save a little time at the end. Unless you have a question, that's essentially all I have. I don't know if the trustees want to add anything. They are here, however.
All 3 of them.
All 3 are
Welcome.
here. Seeing nobody jumping up to say anything, I'll sit down. I assume I haven't said anything they object to. Thank you.
I would like to ask you a question while you're up there. Those sewers, are they going to be coming from Dewhurst or from the other end?
Well, they're going to be going down East River Road.
Yeah, I know, but from where? From Dewhurst or from, what is that, Chestnut?
No, you remember the last time back in November of 2001 when we were here and you
Right.
agreed to that. At that particular point, the sewer, we had recommended the sewer would come either down East River Road or it would come off of Songbird. There is a manhole at Sandpiper, which is right here. It's at the Elyria line. And so it would run down East River from that point down to my client's property. There's two homes. You'll recall, we did talk about the two homes between the 7.6 acre parcel and the corporate line. And at that time, Mr. Rothkerr indicated that he would recommend that they tie in if we came down East River.
Okay.
So now we're back to East River.
All right, thanks.
Okay, can I ask, Mr. Schrader, you're looking at a couple of issues here. Issue number one is that City Council's going to have to pass a, what? An ordinance for,
Our hope is that when the same time they pass an ordinance accepting the annexation, they will have as part of that ordinance a line indicating that those 9 property owners will not be required to annex in order to hook into that sewer. And Eric Rothgerry has satisfied us that he's going to recommend that to them, and we're satisfied with that. We believe him.
what happens if they don't get it? Does that bring you back to the table?
Well, we talked about maybe continuing this, but we concluded the third time continuing probably would not be a charm.
Okay.
So we chose to go forward, and,
Okay,
and
that's
you know,
what I just
it's an
wanted.
opportunity for City Council to show good faith, and if they
Okay.
don't, then...
That's fine. I'm just saying you're in a position.
I realize that we
Okay.
think that we're in a safe enough position here.
Okay.
that
We
we're willing to
can't
do this.
pass the annexation with that contingency in it, can we?
No, because then I think we're telling another.
What was the question?
government
I
entity.
think
was
the
for the
parties are
prosecutor
indicating
to
they
pass it
would
with a
prefer
Not-
go forward.
That's what I think.
Presentation they're making.
So you're saying you're fine with the way it is? Both parties are fine the way it is?
Exactly, and that was after a lot of effort.
I know, okay.
Also, for example, my client, Bob Yost, is going to meet with Carlisle Township trustees on Monday night at 6:30 and go from there.
Okay.
I think there's
Local
been a
governments are
long...
working together more than they ever had, both in this county and around the state. And for City Council not to do this would not advance that effort to work together. And so we don't feel any jeopardy at this stage that somehow City Council is going to put the kibosh to this.
Okay, that's fine.
The sewer's going to run past those people's properties anyway.
All right.
Yeah, and the bottom line is, I mean, if I'm taking a risk, it's a risk for 1 acre, so I don't feel like I'm exactly betting the farm, and neither do the trustees.
Okay.
So-
The trustees don't wish to make any statements then? Okay. I mean, if you do, you can come to the podium.
You could be on television.
Already in the statewide paper.
Oh.
We noticed.
All I would say on the subject, as a member of the trustees board, Carlisle Township, was that, to reiterate that a lot of effort was put into this, not only by us, but by Mr. Yost and the Good Faith. The reason that we are trying to get the opportunity for the affected residents was we don't want the same thing to happen that happened over in the Chestnut Ridge East River area, where we have the opportunity to tie into that, but it's 30 feet in the ground. There were no plans ever laid for the laterals, for the stubs and any of the infrastructure, and it's where they sit back and say you can do it, but you find the way. Well, this time, if it's going to happen, and it's going to happen over 1 acre, we feel we have found a way to satisfy the requirements of the future, where these people are going to be required to use it, but the line will be ready for them, and it won't be a $12,000 or $13,000 excavation fee to get to it. So that's the feeling of Trustee Wright and Trustee Taylor and myself, that Mr. Yost has made a good faith effort. We have not made an attempt to stifle over 1 acre, but we wanted to protect the potentially affected people. And based on what we read in the JET agreement that the city had worked out with Elyria Township. There are certain areas in that agreement that stay in the township until they ask for a sewer. And then part of the agreement is when we ask for the sewer, we also ask to be annexed. But we don't want the same scenario to develop in Carlisle, because it's important to the people that move to the township that they remain in the township, and township at this point is going to do their very best to take care of the people, whether it's 2, 7, or 700. And sewers in Carlisle at this point are becoming a very big issue. So with that, I would just say that the trustees, our zoning people, all the people involved, the administrative assistant, are giving it our blessing, and Attorney Schrader and Attorney Murray can work it all out on our behalf. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for coming.
And for the record, that was Ken Prechtel. You didn't bother to tell us what your name was.
I thought everybody knew me. I apologize.
Okay, no, that's fine. Is there anyone else present in favor of this annexation wanting to give any testimony? Can you please come to the podium and state your name for the record?
My name's Lori Stan, and I live directly to the north of where this is going to be annexed at 10430 Dewhurst Road. Actually, I was kind of promised at a township meeting that if they were going to be in favor of this, that I'd be notified. And frankly, I'm not quite clear on who all these neighbors are that they're talking about with these taps, but I'm directly next door to all this. And this is all news to me this morning. But the one thing I'm not clear about is I'm not quite sure why there shouldn't be a lot split. It seems like this would be kind of confusing because you're going to have the other 2 acres that's going to stay in Dewhurst, but it's all still going to be one lot.
I think you're going to split it, aren't you? Mr. Murray can answer that.
Yes, I had with me this morning, we're going to split the parcel, and then I brought with me this morning a combination legal description along with a combination plat. So that little 1.33 will be part of Elyria. The 2 acres remaining will belong to Carlisle Township.
That'll be, okay. That'll be a separate lot then?
Yeah,
basically.
separate lot.
Okay.
My only couple of concerns here is with like a development going in sort of next to me. We've had a water problem since Robin Park went in. We actually had one a little bit prior to Robin Park, but since Robin Park's gone in, it's gotten wetter. And I'm just kind of afraid of what's going to happen when another development goes in, directly next to me. The other thing that we kind of have a problem with is since Robin Park's gone in, we have a continual problem with cleaning up garbage on our property. It seems like some of the folks in Robin Park think we're a city dump. I'm not exactly sure that would continue with the new development going in, but it certainly is a possibility. And I'm concerned a bit about the value of my property. Since we're in a park-like setting now and then a development going in right directly next to me, I'm not sure what the 2 acres is going to turn into that's left, so I'm kind of concerned about that too. So while everybody else is in favor of it, I'm not totally so happy about all this. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Is there, I think Garrett, Attorney Murray would like to make a comment.
My client intends to construct a home on the 2-acre parcel.
Okay, I figured. Okay, thanks. Is there anybody else in favor? I think you're probably more opposed, would you say? Okay. Anybody else here opposed to the annexation? Please come to this podium and state your name.
My name is Tim Mahoney, General Manager, Rural Lorain County Water Authority. Commissioner Moore, I'm not so sure that I'm opposed to it, but I do remember that when this original area was annexed in 2001, the stipulation was that it would remain the service area of rural water, and I'd like to ask Mr. Murray, if I may, is that the intent here too, that this stay the service area of rural water?
Yes, it is.
And if that's agreeable with the City of Elyria, Commissioner, we have no objections to it either.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else here in opposition of this would like to make a statement? Seeing none? What's the pleasure of the board?
I would move to approve the annexation and find it is the general good of the territory sought to be annexed.
Do we want to say anything about the stipulations that were put forth, Jerry, in formulating this?
I don't think they're asking for that, so since if they don't want it, why should we?
Oh,
I
well,
was at the
I'm,
previous hearing, and I don't know whether that was done or not. Did we address those issues? Garrett, the statutory notices and all that?
Oh, I think we did that.
I don't know.
At the last, when I appeared here before, I brought in maps.
Okay, all right.
I brought in the transcript, and so it's all there.
Here.
Amended petition, the notice upon the township and the city, et cetera.
I'm sorry,
And I
I
would say-
didn't mean to confuse the issue. I guess Commissioner Vacy made a motion to approve. I guess my question was, do we need to make any stipulations regarding the testimony we heard this morning?
No, we can make a finding that all the statutory requirements regarding filing of the documents and notices have been complied with,
And that's all that's required on our part?
other than the additional things Commissioner Vacy moved.
For the general good of the territory sought to be annexed
All right, and then
will be served.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. And part of the, I don't think did you put in the packet, Mr. Murray, the new legal descriptions to be annexed? Because I know you mentioned you were gonna.
Oh, I have it with me.
You will put it part of the public record?
I could. I have a couple, yes.
I would like to have it, if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, before we vote, I would just like to commend the developer who has a long-standing history of cooperating with Carlisle Township, dating back to my 10 years clerk there, and all the parties involved with this. I think it makes our job as commissioners much easier. Thank you for that. And it serves the purposes, and I don't want to say it makes everybody happy, but it addresses the needs of all the parties involved.
I commend everybody who came together to make it work. Makes our job a little bit easier when both parties are on the same page. So we thank you.
Ms. Vacy? Aye. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Where do we leave
This is a copy of the legal.
Okay. That's going to put it in the record, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, Garrett.
You want to look at it?
Yeah, this is coming off here. This is going to be, so we need to get that sheet to finish this. Yeah, it should go in. Is there a copy of this map in there too?
I'll throw mine in.
No. You need to write it.
No. Throw mine in there.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we'll wait another minute.
Okay. I'm going to take a 5-minute break. Can we take a break?
Is everybody going to go bathroom?
After I drink this tea, I will.
Well, if you're not, go ahead, it's all right. No, it's all right, go ahead.
Go behind.
No.
Number 17, retaining the services of Wilmot Printed Communications, Elyria, Ohio, to print the marketing folder for the Community Development Department at a cost not to exceed $2,913, 2,500 printed folders, and 500 sets of 10 printed inserts for a total of 5,000 printed inserts. Community Development Department reviewed the 4 proposals received, and Wilmot was the lowest and most responsive, complying with specifications, and the funds are available in the Community Development Marketing account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Ron, real briefly, how will you use these?
First of all, Yvonne is handing out for us the information so that you can see in draft form what it's going to look like. We have one sample of a similar product that you can share and look at. How they will be used is we are going to be conducting informational seminars, both to businesses, people like city officials, village officials, township trustees, first point of contact for development, to let them know just exactly the tools that are out there to help us get the word out how we can help businesses. They will be used as handouts during our bear visits, which is the business expansion, attention, and retention program that Mr. Barker goes out to visit people. As we get invited and paid to go to various either trade shows or shows put on by employment centers, whatever, that are here for the residents of Lorain County. These will be made available, and any business that is looking to expand or come to Lorain County will receive one of these packets. We're printing up the folders are 2,500. We're getting 500 sets. I need to get my sheet of, there are 10 pages of this information. So that's how we plan to use that and distribute the information.
I would suggest that maybe you put some of these in the libraries too. It's good information.
Is this
Okay,
set,
That's an excellent idea.
is this set to print?
It is in draft form. We probably have some minor revisions to make yet. I think the basic text is there. We just need to go through and make sure that we clean up the wording one last time and typos, and apparently we have one that you've caught.
No, I just see, no,
Well, no,
I just say it's better not to have, you got 2002, I mean, if,
Okay.
I just have a problem with them putting, you have titles, we should just put our names, because then if we don't, you got 2,500, you get it printed, now it's 2003. I don't know, that's just me really quick looking. I'd rather see something
The
universal.
2,500 is just the cover, the envelope,
Right.
the folder cover. There are only 500 sets of the 10 pages inside, so
Okay.
we think that we will easily distribute
Okay, as long as you can
500
distribute,
before the end of this year.
I still have a whole bunch of somebody else that was sitting in this chair stuff in my office, so.
Save it, he wants to reuse it when he
No,
comes back.
Herb, no, I think Herb retired. I don't know who you're talking about.
So moved.
It's already been moved.
There
I
it
just-
is.
You need to change on page 2, the glides, a new...
Do we have a second?
The new name.
They've updated it, and
Correct.
I want it to be current, and so I'll just make that comment.
Commissioners, all this work was done in-house, too.
It was all
the
done
design work
in-house,
was done
and
in-house.
we had acquired, with your permission, the beginning of this year, a software program that allowed us to do this. We looked at the mailroom printing this. We think that it's a little bit beyond them to do the folder covers, and the problem that they were running into was each of these sheets, are different size and are going to be cut off, and that would be problematic for them. That's why we're offering to take this out.
The design work would have cost us if we hadn't done this in-house also. So
Sure.
I want to commend Ron's staff for
Good
the
job.
work and everything that they've done,
Looks
just
good.
to lay out design here.
What goes on the top?
And that's where it's being cut off. We didn't cut the sheets off. If David will open up that green binder there, you'll see what it's going to look like inside.
See how
I
that
see.
tabs
Okay.
And that's why it made it difficult for the folks downstairs to do this printing. Karen Johnston did all of the work. She actually enjoys this, so it worked
Good
out.
job.
Just a
Thanks.
question on your enterprise zones, because I have not seen this, and you're here. You've listed Amherst Township as number 1, and I assume that the airport is included in under Amherst Township?
Yeah, technically, that's what it's called, the Amherst Township Enterprise Zone. It goes down and takes in just the New Russia Township area.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
If you want, we can try adding Amherst Township and Lorain County Regional Airport, but that sometimes gets confusing.
Well,
We'll take a look at that.
I think that that's appropriate,
Okay.
especially since you're going to be marketing this. You want to be clear about what you're saying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Vacy?
Aye.
Approve and enter into contract between the Board of Commissioners and each political jurisdiction requesting to participate with Lorain County in hazardous materials response and mitigation at a cost based upon the 2000 census population. This contract is effective January 1st, 2003, expiring December 31st, 2002.
So moved.
2002? That's what it is, it expires?
2007?
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. I thought you
Did I
said
say 2?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just asking, is it? Second.
Discussion.
And what is meant by cost based upon 2000 census, and the cost to whom?
The costs are shared by the members who participate in the agreement. This is by mutual consent of the political subdivisions involved with this issue. They use a per capita basis for determining what's paid. So that's where that comes from. I'm appreciative of the fact that this contract had no cost increase over the term of life of this contract. They were able to operate under their prior funding arrangements. They've done a wonderful job. This is used for training and for responses and to mitigate some of the costs associated with spills. It's great. It's a great intergovernment relations tool that Tom Kelly and his staff have done a wonderful job keeping together.
Okay. Ms. Spacey? Aye. Approve and enter into contract for daycare services with Horizon Activity Center, Avon Lake, Ohio, effective August 1st, 2002 through December 31st, 2002. Maximum amount reimbursed for children enrolled in a child care center is based on state reimbursement ceilings, and authorize the President or Vice President to execute on behalf of the Board.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Vacy?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Authorize the Board of Commissioners on behalf of Lorain County Sheriff to enter into the web check memorandum of understanding with the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Identification and Investigation, which will allow the Sheriff's Department to use the World Wide Web to conduct civilian background checks for agencies such as schools, nursing homes, and daycare centers. The Sheriff will need to supply a dedicated computer that is connected to the Internet, and BCI will provide a fingerprint scanner and related software. The Sheriff will charge the background requester a fee of $20, with $15 to be paid to BCI for the background check and $5 to be retained by the Sheriff for system maintenance. Authorize the President or Vice President to execute on behalf of the Board.
Okay. I see Lieutenant Kendrick is here. Do you wish to comment, or?
I am Lieutenant Clinton Kendricks, Sheriff's Office, and I'm in charge of records and booking, and I'm just here to answer any questions you may have on these proposals. I sent up the web check and the Social Security agreement.
Commissioners, I had the pleasure of having a web check system when I worked in Lake County. It's a wonderful system. There's a lot of requirements, even in the public sector, for the commissioners, such as the county home, where we have to do fingerprinting before we can hire employees. And this will enhance the community's capability of being able to do that without having to actually do the fingerprints, send them off, and wait for them to come back over a period of weeks. It's a wonderful program. And once they have it, I know that we're going to take advantage of it for our employment issues. And certainly we think that they're going to have a lot of customers out there using it. It's great. It comes back almost instantaneous when they do the fingerprints.
No, I don't think just anybody can use it. I mean, you can't just...
Well, you would come, people, I'll give you an example. You're required, if somebody wants to have an insurance license, they're required to have their fingerprints checked. And these locations are a community support issue also, where they go out and have it done, get the report back, and then send it in.
Yeah, because right now, I think we have to go to Independence.
Right, that's where I had,
Right.
when I
So
had...
now we can do this here in Lorain County.
Yes.
Yeah, right at the Sheriff's Office. Once it gets passed, I already got a computer set up, and I have to set up an account with the auditor for the pay-ins and payouts.
Did you say you already have the computer set up?
Yeah,
So you have the computer,
no.
there won't be any additional charge?
Exactly.
Okay.
And we'll need a resolution then to set up the line item account with the auditor, John?
Yes.
You know, and I'm sure those issues will follow once we start bringing this on board.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Mr.
we'll-
Chairman.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, I just wondered, are we going to notify, I mean, does BCI notify the state and federal agencies that we do have this here?
Right.
Okay, good.
They will.
Because just getting people out to let them know that they don't have to drive into Cleveland now.
And an excellent part of this is allowing the sheriff to retain the $5 will ensure that there's no additional cost to the general
Right.
fund for up.
I think it's a great I think it's a great program, so.
It's only $400 for the service agreements.
I think it's great, so.
Mr. Chairman, also move.
I'll second.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Ms. Vacy?
Aye.
Authorize the Board of Commissioners on behalf of Lorain County Sheriff to enter into the Incentive Payment Memorandum of Understanding and InnisNet Information Sharing Network Reporting Agreement. When SSA reviews booking information and discovers the identity and location of a Social Security recipient who is in the jail, the inmate's Social Security benefits are suspended, and the correctional facility that provided the booking information that led to the suspension of benefits receives an incentive payment of either $400 or $200. The Commissioners originally executed this agreement in 1998, but did not immediately begin reporting booking information to the central computer because the organization that operated the central computer was involved in litigation concerning the reporting of booking information to a central computer and sharing the database with SSA, and because the Sheriff's Department was in the midst of a computer conversion and upgrade process. The 1998 contract is stale, and SSA is requiring the county to execute a new contract so the sheriff can now participate in the incentive payment program. Authorize President or Vice President to execute both contracts on behalf of the board.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, I have a real problem with this. I think that Social Security was a form of insurance that people paid into, and I don't believe that we should be taking it from them. I took a constitutional oath, and I believe that this is, to me, it appears to be unconstitutional, because I think we're taking something from the inmates that even their families will suffer in the end. If an inmate has a wife that's on Social Security with him, you take that Social Security away, her portion is much smaller than his portion, and his portion could be paying her rent. And I really believe that these people will be suffering. They have the commissaries there, they have the telephone expense, which is pretty high when they're in jail. And when you're talking about jail, you're not talking about prison. These are inmates that are in there for misdemeanors, small offenses, or awaiting trial, people that are not found guilty at that point if they're waiting trial. So why would you make these people suffer? And not only that, but once they get out, we could be making them homeless, because by the time they get their Social Security back, God only knows how much longer it's going to take them. No offense, but I understand, that this is going to bring more money into the jail levy fund, but I just don't think it's in fairness to the public, to those people that are really needing this money.
What happened in '98? This was passed in '98.
Yeah, the commissioners passed this in 1998, and as you know, we couldn't implement it because we were going to buy a new computer system that didn't cross-match with theirs, and also they had litigation problems. Okay, so this amendment actually was already passed, this agreement, back in '98. It was 98-978. The Social Security Administration approached us on this. They want this.
Oh, sure, because they save money.
Well, it's a federal regulation that, and whether I agree with it, I'm not taking a stance, but it is a federal regulation that people that are incarcerated are precluded from
receiving federal benefits.
Thank you, receiving federal benefits. And they consider Social Security a federal benefit, and all federal benefits are supposed to be suspended during time of incarceration. They're going to be suspended one way or another should the Social Security Administration find out that there was a prior incarceration or they are incarcerated. They will either retrospectively or prospectively deal with that issue.
So you guys might be able to get 4 years worth of back pay on this? Is that what you're saying?
Are we what now?
Well, they don't get any of the money. What they do is they get an incentive from the Social Security Administration for complying with the law.
Who does?
The jail.
Okay.
That's where
Could be as much as $400.
The payments come in.
$400 a person.
Yeah.
If we notify them within 30 days. If it's after 30 days, it's $200.
Oh, okay. I wonder what the difference was.
But look at what Social Security's saving, and it's not something. It's an insurance that people paid into. It's their own money. And even though the feds did it, I disagree with the feds. Then they should never have done it, and I hope that somebody challenges them.
I'm still waiting for the sheriff to come up with his plan with if you're going to stay in our facility, you should pay overnight. But there's all sorts of issues here. So I think this was already passed once before.
It was passed in 1998. You have a copy of it, I'm sure. It was Commissioner Vassy, Blair, and Ross.
Okay.
Well, since then, I realize I took an oath of office and to support the Constitution of the United States. And the Eighth Amendment is clear that excessive fines shall not be imposed. The 14th Amendment, a person shall not be deprived of their property. Where do we draw the line? I mean, how much are you going to sanction a person? And most of those people in there are for either drug or alcohol offenses that need help, need treatment. They don't need to be sanctioned on top of what they're already suffering in their families.
You made the motion last time.
I don't care.
Oh, okay, I'm just wondering.
This is this
I thought this was a housekeeping measure. That's why I didn't even, that's what I thought it was, so.
The reason why we're coming to you again on this for a new contract, because Social Security, the laws changed.
Right, I've read, yeah,
That's why.
we've read it, so, okay.
Let them find them. That's what I say.
Anyone else? I think Elizabeth would like to make some comments.
Excuse me, Elizabeth Rumix Oberlin. I have a question. As Commissioner Vossi says, people who are in jail awaiting sentencing or not. In short, what is the meaning of incarcerated? Does that mean people who are actually already sentenced, or does it mean temporary personages they're awaiting?
The key there is prison, between the difference of a jail and a prison.
Well, but this is for the sheriff's department, and
Let
it's a
him
jail,
answer.
it's not a prison, so can you answer that?
Yeah, incarcerated is the critical word here, I think.
They may be guilty of misdemeanors, but
If you're confined to the jail, you're incarcerated.
yeah.
So what we do every single day, I send a file to SJLS of all our bookings, and what they're going to do, they're going to notify the Social Security Administration because they cross-check everything, and they'll immediately know who's on Social Security.
Who's that? Who will send it to them?
ISNET.
What's his name?
They manage the data for SJLS. It's up there in the proposal. Every day we send our booking data to SJLS, which is our state jail linkage system. So if I want to know who's in jail in Cincinnati, I can call that up and find out. So every single day, we send our data there.
It's a central thing where
It's like a repository.
Well, I guess I would just like to piggyback for clarification if it can be, and perhaps Mr. Ennis can address this issue, but Commissioner Vacy made a statement that anybody who's in jail, even if they haven't been sentenced and they're waiting, and they may be found not guilty, I think, as the process goes.
Right.
Does this mean that their Social Security benefits are also
Well, that would be up to the Social Security Agency.
Sure.
They go through a little process once they get that cross-check name.
We called down there, and I checked on it. Once that name goes in there and they're on Social Security, they come off. And then to try and get back on there, that's another process.
Right.
So it could be a month, 2 months, 6 months before they get back on there. And what do they do when they come out without money? They're out on the street.
Like I said, the Social Security
I know,
Agency
it's not
approached
our
us with this
fault.
proposal, and it's a federal law. They come to jail, their benefits get cut.
okay? I guess, Jerry, they've answered my question. Were their answers correct?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
And again, we aren't passing the law of Social Security Administration.
We're just allowing the sheriff to participate in it. Okay. Any more
Mr. Moore?
discussion? Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Vacy?
Nay.